What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are with our list of high demand, low supply cards. Now, this isn't some algorithm that I run or some data that I just pulled out of left field, right? TCG Player sends me an Excel file every so often. It used to be every 2 weeks, and now this one was 3 weeks. Who knows when it's going to come? But every so often, they send an Excel file out, and they say, hey, listen, we're raising our hand. We need some help because these cards are in super high demand and really low supply on our website. Now, TCG Player gives us that information because that's how they make money, right? Like, they get a cut of every single thing that's sold on their website, so they want to make sure this information's public so people like you and me and anybody else who's in the Poke hobby can look through their collection and see if, hey, maybe there's some cards that other people are really interested in that I'm not, so I can sell them, get them in the hands of people who want them more than I do. I can make a couple nickels and reinvest that into other things that are going to bring me more joy, and TCG Player gets a cut of it, and everybody wins in this scenario, right? Now, I will say this. I take information from TCG Player very, very seriously, especially when it's supplied directly by them, right? Because when you think about the Poke market as a whole, I mean, eBay is the #1 spot for buying and selling cards, and TCG Player is a very close second. So anytime I can get this macro level, hobby level information, I think it's critically important. Now, I will say this. The last time they sent this to me was on November 8th, and I just got this on November 29th. So this is fresh off the press, and I can't wait to share it with you right now. Now, this kind of data stuff and information like this at a macro level, we do all kinds of fun stuff like this here on the PikaPikaPaPa channel, right? We have our top 10 cards that are coming out really soon. We've got our market report where we're looking at the grading volume from the big 4 graders, all kinds of fun stuff coming up at the beginning of the month. So if you're interested in that and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit the subscribe button, join the PikaPikaPaPa clan. We do all kinds of fun stuff. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. Those 3 small things go a long way in helping my small channel out. So without further ado, let's get into some of the awesome cards that are on here right now. Now, I will say this. Paradox Rift and Pokemon 151 pretty much own this entire list. There's, I think, like 85 different cards that are listed on here. There's also some sealed product on here, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to start off with the non-151, non-Paradox Rift cards, and it has been amazing to see these stamped promo cards just absolutely go nuts. One of the things that I have learned since we started with this video, and this might be like a, well, duh moment, but I will tell you this. Anytime we've got an original Pokemon, anytime we got a big name Pokemon with a stamp on it that's given out for free at Best Buy, at the Pokemon Center, at GameStop, it doesn't matter. I am going to be in line to pick up that card, and I will probably show up every day thereafter until they say, PikaPikaPaPa, we're sick of seeing your face. Get out of here. We're not giving you any more cards, because they have been going really crazy in price, right? Even though the Bulbasaur, you see, that is down a little bit from where it was, 3 weeks ago when we last had this one. Even the Charizard from GameStop, that's down a little bit, but guess what? Who cares? They're stamped promo cards. Like, look at where the price is at, considering a lot of these, you didn't have to do anything to get them. And then look at the Umbreon down there, the EB Games exclusive. That is at almost $90 right now, which is absolutely crazy. And then, of course, on this list, we always see a lot of cards that are really involved in the playability, right? Specifically in the TCG space. So we see Forest Seal Stone has been on here every single week since we've started doing this. It's been on all of our top 10 card lists, for months and months and months on end, because it has such great playability in the actual game itself. Then you have Battle VIP Pass, you got Switch card, you have all kinds of cool cards on here. Another one that's really playable is that Iono card, right? Now, you can't go out and get 4 of them. Well, I guess you could, but you can't fill a deck up with the special illustration rares. So this card is only $3 a pop. It's got the same playability to it. So people are filling it left and right in their decks. It's an absolute awesome card. Now, the other thing that was really cool for me is, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I think it was a month ago at this point, I did a special video where I said, hey, listen, these are my favorite boxes under $50 right now. The Evolving Powers box right there, that premium collection box, you see that 3 weeks ago it was at $40.67. Now it wouldn't even meet the criteria to be on my list because it's up to $55.16. So really cool to see that box popping up a little bit. And there's just some really cool cards on here. You see you got the Mewtwo there from the Scarlet and Violet promo, the Greninja EX Scarlet and Violet promo, like that one's done really good, up 25% over the last 3 weeks. So really cool to look at some of these cards outside of Paradox Rift and outside of Pokemon 151 on this low demand or high demand, low supply video. Now, we're going to get into Paradox Rift first because Pokemon 151 is just absolutely bonkers. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, these two sets, they really switched positions. So we had about 51 on the last video, and we had about 20 Paradox Rift. Now we've got about 50 Paradox Rift cards and only 17 Pokemon 151 cards on the video this week. So we don't have a lot of the Paradox Rift cards to have comparison to the last video that we did, but this is performing much more in line with what we typically see when a new set drops, right? With Pokemon 151, it came out and all the prices went up. With Paradox Rift, it came out and we're seeing a lot of the prices come down. Not a knock on Paradox Rift, that's just what we typically see. But for me, it's really interesting to see where the hobby is favoring and all the cards that are in high demand here. Now, again, as I said, I use this as a selling tool. So I've ripped a couple of Paradox Rift Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs simply because I want to send the promo cards in and get them graded. You know that Paradox Rift as a whole, there's some really cool artwork in there, but there's nothing in there that makes me want to rip a ton of boxes and hope and pull anything. So I will go through all of the stacks. I set those stacks aside. I'll go through the stacks of cards and I'll look and see if I have any on here, because if they're on here and I have the card, I know I can sell it really quickly for a fair price. So it's interesting, but look at all the red across there. You know, a lot of Roaring Moons and the Iron Valiant. Like, obviously those are the big characters here in Paradox Rift, and they're at the very top, and we're seeing them come down, except the Iron Valiant Special Illustration Rare. Look at that. Like, that one's actually up 21.5% over the last 3 weeks. And the other one I wanted to call out, I said Paradox Rift isn't my favorite set, and it's not, but there's a couple cards in here where I just absolutely love the art. I think the art is stunning, and guess what? That More Pico card right there is one of them. I was so pumped when I pulled this together and I saw that it's up 45% over the last 3 weeks. I love it when a card's artwork is so fantastic that it just gets people excited and people pile in. It is absolutely one of the things I love the most about the hobby, and I think that is really, really cool. So Parasol Lady is also on this list. The Goldingo is on here. There's just some really cool cards on here, and thing that surprised me, and I know this is going to change, it's going to drop, but for right now, if you have any of the cards on this list and you don't want to hold them in the long run, a lot of these are still in the $10, $20, $30 range, right? There's still some great price appreciation or some great price value in these cards. So if you have them in your set and you don't think you're going to hold them a long time, now is the time to sell them, because there's a lot of people out there waiting to scoop them up. Now, the other half of Paradox Rift right here, another one, that Louderd card, I think the artwork on that one is fire. I just think it is so cool. I love having that one on the list. And, you know, for me, here's one of the things. So I don't play the game. Like, I don't play Pokemon. Like, I don't do that. I don't play the video games. I don't play the card games. I am simply a collector, and I call myself a growth collector because, yes, I hope that these appreciate in value. That way someday I can sell them and make a profit. I don't want to call myself an investor because that's a little too dry, but yeah, I invest and I collect, and I want to fall in love with the things I invest in. So I'm a growth collector. So it's really interesting to see these types of cards that are on here, and Paradox Rift just doesn't have a lot of oomph in it for me. So the other thing that I thought was really cool, if you look at the Paradox Rift Elite Trainer Box set of 2, so one of the Iron Valiant, one of the Roaring Moon, that one's actually up 7% over the last 3 weeks, which is really interesting. A lot of times we see these ETBs come out and then they drop like a rock. They normalize with the market, but that set of 2 on TCG Player at least is actually up 6%, almost 7% month over month. So we had a total of 54 different Paradox Rift cards on here. Next time this video comes out, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, I don't know. But it's going to be really interesting to see how many of these cards can remain, you know, at top of mind for collectors and will be on the list when this comes out. So now we're getting into the mother of all sets, Pokemon 151, and it is just crazy. Look at all of that green. I just keep thinking that it can't continue to go up. I just keep thinking to myself, hey, you know, there's still people are out there ripping it left and right. Like, the booster bundles was available on the Pokemon Center yesterday. Shout out to CH10 on the in the Discord, because he let everybody know it was on there. I was able to pick up 3 more and get the free ornament, and a whole bunch of us were able to pick up a whole bunch of those Pokemon 151 booster boxes. So really cool opportunity, but people are buying it, people are ripping it, the market doesn't care, they just keep paying more and more for these cards. So it's really cool. Listen, lots of these are up 10% over the last 3 weeks, and again, this is only like 21 days and they're still up 10%, growing like a bad reed. The Charizard EX, the big chase card's up 13%, that Squirtle card, which I think is absolutely adorable, is up 16%. You got Bulbasaur, you got the other Charizards up there. Just a whole lot of interest in this set, and this is good for the hobby. You know, I read every single comment that comes through. I respond to all of them personally. Thanksgiving tipped me back a little bit, so I wasn't quite as timely as I usually am, but it's awesome to hear people who say, I've been out of the hobby for a while. I didn't even get back in during the pandemic, but now that Pokemon 151 is here, I am back in the hobby, and we need these sets every so often. There's going to be normal attrition in the hobby. People are going to leave. People are going to find other things to spend their money on. People are going to have things that fundamentally change what's going on in their life, and they can't spend money on Pokemon anymore. So we always need new people coming in, and the number of comments that I get, which is around people who are coming back into the hobby, enjoying it again because of Pokemon 151, just makes my heart grow 3 sizes every time I read one of those. So if that's one of you and you're back in the hobby because of Pokemon 151, we're happy to have you. Please stick around. We need you. This is an amazing space to be. So here it is. It's going to be really interesting to see the next time this list comes out and see where all of these cards stack up at. So, hey, listen, here's my takeaways so far. All top 10, so most in-demand cards, so the top 10 most in-demand cards that were on this list last month went up a combined 3.7%. That is incredibly, incredibly important and meaningful information, because one of the things that I always think when I look at this video is I'm like, well, if it's so in demand, TCG player, why isn't the price going up? Well, it's interesting to see that over the last 3 weeks, the top 10 cards did actually go up a combined 3.7%. Now, Paradox Rift and 151 switch places, as I said, but Pokemon 151 just continues to climb in value for those singles cards. And as I said, listen, if it's a Kanto Pokemon and it's got a stamp on it and it's being given out for free, I don't care if I have to wait in line in sub-zero temperatures with my parka on and be a Pokemon collecting maniac, I'm gonna get in line and get that card, because they have just shown some awesome growth overall. Now, we already talked about the growth of the top 10 cards, but when you look at all of the cards that were on the list 3 weeks ago and are on the list today, guess what? Only 18 of them went up in value, 21 of them actually went down. And that is why I simply say I use this as a selling tool. I use this to tell me, hey, listen, the market's hot for it right now. I'm going to go ahead and sell these cards while I can still get a pretty good premium for it, because the odds are that the price of this is going to come down. And as always, listen, I always cautious everybody, Pokemon 151 is a different animal. We're already seeing Paradox Rift is not performing the same way. I don't know when the next Pokemon 151, quote unquote, will come, if we ever have anything like that, but it is really cool. So listen, if you found stuff on this list, get out there, make some quick sales, use that money, buy some of these Christmas deals that are all over the place right now, and get some things in your collection that you're going to enjoy. Sell some of the commons that you don't need. And as I always say too, if you made it to the end, you haven't hit that subscribe button, and you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below, and you all have an epic one. Thanks, everybody. Bye.